everybody. It's 9:30 Monday morning, October 5th, 2020. Nice and brisk morning here in central Missouri. It's actually cold. I'm not sure what the temperature is. I haven't looked, but it's that kind of tingly finger weather, at least out on the porch. We're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system today, and we've talked about that before. When I did a class, and then I was doing public speaking engagements on what CBD can do for you and your health. We're going to talk about the whole system today, because one of the issues that a lot of people have is trying to figure out which product they should use. CBD by itself, if it's 100% pure CBD, it's been run through a gas chromatographer, where all the rest of the endocannabinoids, there's 100 of them, are stripped out, and then the terpenes, which are the actual ingredient you want, have to be put back in. So when you see pure CBD, it's been not chemically altered, but it's gone through a chemistry process. So what you really want is full hemp. Then you get all 100 endocannabinoids, of which one is THC, the one that's psychoactive in marijuana. But a full spectrum hemp product will still have THC in it, but it is a very limited amount, and it works synergistically. Good morning, Sarah and Wendy. Half of a country apart you two are. So now you got an option other than just CBD or medical marijuana that has the potential to just stimulate your own endocannabinoid system. Endo means within. So cannabinoids are made within your body, and they're made in response to inflammation, etc. And then they're broken down, and they just dissipate. So if you want to enhance that system, there's ways to do it without smoking something, or taking an oil, or putting something under your tongue, or swallowing this, or eating edibles, or whatever. And so the research, since now hemp can be grown, according to the Farm Bill 2018, so the research, the science research is just proliferating right now. So this is a review from August, written by a life extension guy, and then scientifically reviewed by Gary Gonzalez, who's an MD on the board at Life Extension. Me and Life Extension, they do good research, and they publish a lot of good stuff. And so we're going to review what's available now for your endocannabinoid system, all plant-based, all natural. So really, so what does it do? So the endocannabinoid system balances and creates function for almost all of your bodily systems, they have discovered at this point. So it plays an important role in brain function. Some of what we're going to talk about this morning, we talked about in my physiology class at State Fair Community College last week, when we were doing the brain and functions of the brain. So the endocannabinoid, or ECS, I'll just say that so my Missouri accent doesn't trip. I've got enough stuff to trip over in this class, you'll see. So the ECS influences your mood, it influences learning, it influences memory, it has a lot to do with pain control, which we're finding with medical marijuana, as well as sleep, appetite, weight management, all of that. So as you get older, and I never know what the definition of older is, but for me, the fulcrum of a teeter-totter with age is age 40. Okay, so 40 is you're kind of going uphill until you're 40 and getting better, and then if you don't pay attention and at least flatten your teeter-totter, if not keep it going upwards, if your teeter-totter starts falling on the other side of 40, that's when you start having trouble. So we're going to say, or I'm going to say, that at age 40, almost everything starts going downward unless you prop it up. or do things to keep you going forward and upward. So the endocannabinoid system, ECS, is one of those. So it goes downhill, or it's less active, I guess. It's not bad, it's just less active. So you accelerate your aging process, same with hormones, same with pretty much everything else. And you become more susceptible to chronic illness, right? So the ECS has now been shown to play a huge role throughout all of your body, including bone strength, metabolism of fat, metabolism of glucose, weight maintenance or weight loss. So in the past year, the only things that have been, or in the past few years, the only things that you see marketed are CBD products. Cannabidiol, that's one of 100 endocannabinoids. THC is the other one that everybody's heard of. So there's a variety of applications. You don't necessarily know unless somebody has a certificate from a lab, that an external unbiased lab that says yes, this is what's in this product. You don't quite know always what you're getting. So at the end of my talk that I give in public, and I think I did on this class, you probably don't want to get your gas and your CBD in the same place. That doesn't make sense. But there's tons. I mean, there's all kinds of stores. Missouri's getting closer and closer to having actual medicinal marijuana available. Oklahoma did it a year and a half ago. And my understanding from Oklahoma City is that those stores are popping up, or have popped up, all over the Oklahoma City metro. So they're increasingly popular. If you haven't tried them, you probably will, if you have any interest in this. So oils, cosmetics, it's been used in facial rejuvenation products. It's been used for, the medicinal marijuana out of Colorado, which has been going on for several years in Washington State. They have different blends for different health issues. So somebody that really knows what they're talking about with medical marijuana can lead you to the right product for whatever issue that you're trying to rectify. Okay? So there's a lot of unanswered questions, however, about quality and efficacy of commercially produced and purchased CBD containing products. Notice I'm saying CBD, cannabidiol. That's the biggie. Still look for a full spectrum hemp product. So if you want to improve your own ability for your internal endocannabinoid function, scientists have now found 4 plant compounds that favorably influence the ECS in a variety of different ways. So what is it again? ECS. So hormones and nerve cells have receptors just like the ECS. So there are ECS receptors. There's two big ones, CB1 and CB2. It's a cellular way of communicating. So nerves communicate with each other. Hormones communicate with end organs that have receptors for that particular hormone, so that that hormone can direct the function of that target organ. Well, the ECS is pretty much the same way. It's sending signals to other cells. So it helps regulate and maintain optimal function, or homeostasis, the basis of human physiology. So if you didn't have homeostasis, if you went outside like I did this morning and you got cold, your body will respond to that to warm your temperature so that you don't freeze, right? Till it gets so low that you can't. So homeostasis is the basis of human physiology. You want balance. Everything is balance. So if your environment is changing, you want your body to be able to respond appropriately to maintain that homeostasis, and the ECS helps do that. It's active in most tissues. It's been identified in bones and brains, muscle, liver, and fat tissue, immune cells, pretty much all over the body. It's made up of 3 parts, so the signaling molecules are called the endocannabinoids. There's 100 of them. The receptors are the second part throughout the body, so the endocannabinoids bind to those receptors to transmit information to the cells. And then the enzymes, that's the third part, which breaks down the endocannabinoids once they've done what they're what they're doing. So two of the best ones, other than CBD and THC, so two of the other ones, and here I'm going to start showing you my Missouri lingo accent slur, is Anandamide, which is AEA, they call it, and then two, arachidonyl glycerol. I'm sure I just destroyed that word. Arachidonyl, it's hard to say, arachidonyl glycerol, 2AG is what it's known as. Those two interact with receptors all through your body. So the name endocannabinoid comes from plant-derived cannabinoid compounds, hemp, those found in cannabis, and then influence the CB1 and CB2 receptors on cell membrane. So endo means something that's formed within your body. So endocannabinoids. Okay? So this isn't, you don't have to take cannabinoids per se to have your own body produce them. They just become, your body becomes less effective or less active at producing them. So internalizing external sources of cannabinoids is the basis of the CBD and medical marijuana revolution, right? Okay. Unlike cannabinoids from cannabis, the endocannabinoids have no psychoactive effects, but have a huge effect on your brain function and your body function. So THC does have a psychoactive effect. That's from one cannabis plant. There's two biggies. Okay, so one is the basis of marijuana, and then the other one is the hemp products from cannabis. So these plant-based compounds we're going to talk about actually stimulate your body to make your own endocannabinoids. So in the brain, the ECS is neuroprotective. So you're shielding your brain cells against damage and age-related changes. The first thing everybody thinks about is Alzheimer's disease, right? But there's a fairly good amount of research targeted in the battle to help protect against cognitive decline from Alzheimer's. That's the most common form of dementia, and then as well Parkinson's disease. Okay, so the effects of the ECS in the brain relate to a lot of quality of life factors such as your mood, your perception of pain, your ability to think, your ability to remember, appetite regulation, a lot of hypothalamic stuff that we talked about in class last week, and regulation of circadian rhythm and sleep. So on a cellular level, the ECS protects the brain by regulating what's known as support cells around neurons. And they're known as glial cells, G-L-I-A-L. They're support cells that are vital to normal brain functions. There's 4 of them. The astrocyte support cell is what forms the blood-brain barrier and helps you use glucose for energy. You remember I told you you don't have to eat sugar to get energy for your brain. It can run on ketones as well. But astrocytes help connect the circulatory system to the actual neuronal function and energy production from glucose or ketones. Okay. They also prevent inflammation, and they guard against degeneration of neurons. So there's the cognitive decline. So the ECS also promotes neurogenesis, which is formation of new neurons. So your ability to do that as you get older declines, and that's a major contribution to lack of function and cognitive decline. And so the ECS increases, your own body increases, if you support that system, increases your ability to form new brain cells and create new memory and learning. Okay? The ECS also boosts what's called plasticity or synaptic plasticity. So that's the ability of the communication cleft called synapses, where neurons communicate to adapt to new information. That also diminishes as you get older. And by strengthening this ability, its synaptic plasticity, the ECS also helps prevent cognitive decline. This is all about brains we're talking about now. And then the ECS improves brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's a protein that promotes survival, growth, and health of nerve cells. And that helps with prevention of neurologic disease, including Alzheimer's disease and Parkinsonism. So beyond the brain, there are body-wide effects. So wide range of effects that the ECS help regulate are bone remodeling, where also bone is an organ. It can fix itself. You might have to have screws put in for a broken bone, but the bone itself actually repairs itself, and you get less good at that as you get older. So your bone regeneration, where old bone tissue is replaced by stronger and new bone, is regulated by the ECS. Helps with gastrointestinal function regulation. Helps with fat metabolism in both the liver and in fat tissues. We talked about that 2 weeks ago when we went 3 or 4 classes on the ketogenic way of eating, and what happens when you drink a soda pop or a beer in your liver. Okay, muscle metabolism is involved with, or the ECS is involved with muscle metabolism, as well as immune cell function. And we're throwing immunity around all the time in the last 9 months, 10 months. So boosting immune function is necessary. That is why older people with different chronic illnesses are more susceptible to COVID-19. They can boost their immune system, and hopefully they can ward that off. So again, recap. The endocannabinoid system is a signaling cell-to-cell informational superhighway throughout the body, from brain to bone and everything in between. It regulates and brings balance to your body. That slows when you age, and this, if you keep your ECS happy, then theoretically you would reduce your risk for chronic disease. Everything I always talk about is how do we avoid going to doctors, right? Which I used to be one. So I'm trying to teach you how to not have to see somebody like me when I was practicing. So there's 4 compounds that researchers have found that influence and improve ECS function. We're going to talk about them. Okay, so after finding out all of this, what the systems are, the researchers have been looking at how the ECS works. So it contributes to cellular housekeeping. So the ECS induces autophagy, and that's when cells clear away damaged proteins and other compounds to make room for new and healthier cell components. Autophagy is what people who are ketogenic are trying to get to. So when they tell you, if somebody's a ketogenic person and they're eating ketogenically, they're trying to get ketones, so they'll check your urine. They'll check their urine for ketones. There's a little stick that you can urinate on. And if they're in ketosis, they are in a state of autophagy, so they're clearing away the old stuff and producing new stuff throughout their body. Okay, we talk about mitochondrial dysfunction and how it's related to aging and chronic illness. So mitochondria, which have their own DNA from your mother, are the signaling system to tell a cell to commit suicide. That's called apoptosis, and that happens more and more as you get older if your mitochondria become dysfunctional. This is where the ATP energy of the cell is generated. So it's basically the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So the ECS helps regulate normal mitochondrial function and protects those mitochondria from free radical and reactive oxygen species damage, which then leads to apoptosis, cell suicide, as we get older. So I'm sure you're tired of hearing about free radicals and oxygen reactive species, but it's the basis for chronic inflammatory problems in your body that lead to chronic illness and chronic disease. And then the ECS modulates signaling and communication pathways between cells throughout the body. So that signaling requires the endocannabinoid system to be not dysfunctional, so functional. You want a good ECS. So there's diverse effects of those cell-to-cell informational superhighways, which impacts your sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm, your pain perception, your mood, your learning, and your memory. So all of those processes working in balance are critical in slowing the aging process and maintaining homeostasis, human physiology, normal tissue function in a variety of different organs. So there's ways to influence the function of the ECS without resorting to cannabidiol or tetrahydrocannabinol, the THC, or other potentially psychoactive cannabinoids from cannabis. So this is an internal way of turning back on the youthfulness of your ECS. So here's the compounds, and these are the ones I'm going to destroy with my Missouri accent. So there's oleoyl ethanolamide, or OEA. It's a fatty acid produced in the body. It's natural, and it's similar in structure to one of the endocannabinoid components. Okay, so OEA activity suppresses inflammation, and it regulates metabolism and appetite, which is mediated through the ECS, but does not bind to the receptor. So OEA does not even bind to an endocannabinoid receptor. It has neuroprotective effects on your brain cells. It provides support against obesity and the associated insulin resistance and metabolic abnormalities of obesity, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. So oleoyl ethanolamide, OEA. The second plant-based one is biocainin A. It's a plant flavone found in clover, peanuts, soy, and chickpeas. Okay, so they found that biocainin A inhibits one of the enzymes in the ECS called fatty acid amide hydrolase. So that enzyme breaks down anandamide, which is one of the more common cannabinoids that you make in your own body. So it breaks down anandamide into inactive products. So if you block the activity of that enzyme, which is what biocainin A does, that may help support higher levels of anandamide, so it gets to do its job before it's broken down into inactive products. So anandamide is a natural pain reliever. Okay, so biocainin administration may be helpful in treating chronic pain disorder, chronic pain syndrome, people with chronic pain. And of course, a lot of people with chronic pain are using medicinal marijuana. Okay, works great. ECS with pain relief is known, it's been researched, it's been looked at for years. Okay, so anandamide, that function is critical for maintenance of the ECS. It also helps in regulating motivation, pleasures, and mood. Okay, so biocainin A keeps your anandamide levels at a healthy level and doing what it's supposed to do. Then guaninine, isolated from black pepper, boosts the levels of anandamide and 2-AG, the other cannabinoid we talked about at the first part of this little class. So it works by guaninine works by blocking the reuptake of those endocannabinoids after they're released by the cell, so they can continue to do their cell-to-cell information superhighway. Okay, so with guaninine from black pepper, the levels of those two cannabinoids remain higher in the body for a longer period of time. And so together with biocainin A's ability to block anandamide's breakdown, that further boosts the beneficial effects of those two endocannabinoids, the two best researched and studied. Then there's beta-caryophyllene. It's found in lots of plants, black pepper, rosemary, clove. And they found that beta-caryophyllene directly affects activates one of the most important receptors known as CB2. So we talked about CB1 and CB2, those are the two big receptors. And so this compound mimics the activity of some endocannabinoids by affecting the receptor CB2. Those receptors found throughout the body. So beta-caryophyllene has been found to reduce inflammation in brain cells. In an animal model research, it improved insulin function and blood sugar control, metabolism of lipids, and reduced vascular inflammation, which leads to plaque formation, which leads to cardiovascular disease. So remember, it's not cholesterol. Cholesterol is not the issue for cardiovascular disease. It's vascular inflammation, damage to the wall, and just chronic body inflammation, really. Okay, so beta-caryophyllene also protects against age-related cognitive decline, reduces levels of age-related pro-inflammatory cytokines, which break down nerve cells. And it's also been found, beta-caryophyllene, to inhibit breast cancer cell growth. Not saying, and there's a, let's see where this comes from. That's from 2018 Annals of Oncology. So new insights in the anti-tumor effects of beta-caryophyllene in breast cancer cells, the role of the cannabinoid and adrenergic systems. Okay, so in summary, during the last few decades, the scientists have discovered that the ECS influences the balance and function of almost all of your body systems. So in the brain, it has important beneficial effects on mood, cognition, sleep, circadian rhythm, prevention of cognitive decline and apoptosis in the brain. Throughout the body, it maintains tissue health, age-related loss of function, and lower risk for chronic illness. And so plant-derived compounds, the four we talked about, help improve the function of your own endocannabinoid system without having to take an external or commercial product. Okay. Of course, there is, I'll put the supplement up. They've made this into a supplement. So I'll put a link to it up when I get done. So that's basically an overview of the endocannabinoid system without really discussing CBD and THC, which have their own effects. I mean, they work. They've been looked at very stringently, and continue to be doing so. But not everybody wants to go in and buy CBD oil or medicinal marijuana for whatever reason, and then you don't know where these products are coming from, right? So this is a natural way to do it, to improve your own system, which is there anyway. So the arguments about CBD and medicinal marijuana and THC are political or religious or whatever they are, but you can boost your own endocannabinoid system is the point, without having to do any of that. You take one supplement, those 4 plants, and you're going to revive your own system if you're past 40, right? Okay, so I didn't get to you Friday. I was in St. Louis, and I was going to do a live class with a different background, so you know that I actually move out of this dining room occasionally. But I got tied up doing things, so doing other things. So Wednesday, I'll come up with another topic for class. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the fall crisp weather, and I'll talk to you Wednesday. See you later. Bye.